There's of course no match for that, but I didn't ask what sort of, how many more employees we would have if we bump the age up. And summertime is, everyone who's got young enough children who can't be left alone, then you do have an increased responsibility in this, so. Paul?
I don't know what the typical protocol for something like this would be, but it would seem to me that this is a budget thing that maybe should be added to the budget and not a mid thing. That's just my first thought. Not that I'm for it or against it, but you're talking about something that's gonna fluctuate from year to year, and I think we need to do whatever we can to, get new employees and to retain the employees that we have, and I'm not opposed to that necessarily, but it just seems to me this is a real budget thing that you probably should be taken care of at that time.
No, sure. I agree with that, and I also think that from hearing Governor Armstrong when he was in Minto, that he talked about some of these programs, that there could be things that, whether they're a piggyback off or they're just an add to what the state comes out with, I agree, I'm all for, us doing something and to recruit and retain. But I'd like to see maybe what that comes, what they come with, and then we work off of that a little bit on what we decide as a county.
Yeah, I just have some reservations about it at the time. The state's gonna match that then?
Yeah, so you can choose to participate at either the $150 or $300 level, and then they will match that. There's an application process, so just because you have a child beneath the age of 3 doesn't mean it's an automatic thing. They, they have to meet income guidelines, but they're really generous, because when I first saw that, I was talking to Alan about it in public health. And he's like, yeah, but did you look at the actual amount? They're pretty generous income guidelines, so that wouldn't necessarily disqualify people very quickly, they'd have to go through an application process. And then they get the matching funds directly, so that, I did like that piece of it, because our payroll systems are complicated enough, so to have to be a pass-through, I thought that was nice that they're just gonna get it. So how it would happen is that we just submit proof that we paid it. So if there is another step for us, and that we have to add the dollars to their paycheck, but then we also have to submit some sort of report to them to verify to the state saying, hey, look, we paid this person $150 or $300. Then they turn around and pay that individual directly.
It's just like pre-tax dollars in that we're not paying benefits on any of this?
We're not paying benefits, but it is taxed from what I understand. It's still, because the money they're getting from the state is taxed, so they're gonna get a 1099 on that extra money from the state. And then they just turn around and pay their provider directly. Of course, we don't,
It would just be a wonderful place for legacy funds to be used. No. Yeah, I just have some reservations about it.
I think we have to keep in mind that public health,
Yeah,
it did go with it.
Right,
So, but I don't disagree that it should be a budget item, because we do need to budget, when we first talked about it, we didn't know if we really had anybody other than maybe 1 or 2 people eligible.
right.
So kind of want to plant the seed, I guess.
Yeah.
I think it's something we should consider, put some thought into. We don't have to make a decision today.
Right. The other question, when you bring up the word budget, it made me think, because I know that we would have the question if it were approved, what budget does it come out of? So is each individual department then supposed to budget for that? I would imagine, because that's a departmental expense. So that's another piece of it that we'd have to think about. I don't know where the money, if you did choose to adopt it, that would have to be part of the conversation. Where is the money coming from?
Or is it like our health insurance?
Right.
To me, it's a benefit.
Right.
So do we just consider it under that same pool?
Sure.
Some things to look into,
Yeah.
Amy?
And that's also something when you talked about as a county, are we gonna go up to age 5 and,
Right.
go through summer? That's where budget could really be impacted. When you talk about, are we gonna just match what the state, when I said state, I kind of meant like new things that are gonna be coming to this obviously has been there for.
I don't know exactly when it got rolled out. I think it's been there for 6-ish months, because I was looking back, they actually have a list. If you care to look at their website, you can just search, North Dakota Child Care Relief Program. They have a search of, a list of existing entities that are already participating. But oddly enough, when I looked at this a month or 2 ago, there were more agencies on there, I'm pretty certain, than what I see right now. So I don't know if that means that they don't have people, like, if they just dropped off again, because they say in all of the information that you are committing until September of 2026. So it's kind of like, once we commit, you're in through the completion of this pilot program. But I'm almost positive I saw other county-related entities on that list, and when I glanced just like yesterday, I didn't see them, unless I was looking quickly, so maybe it's not like I have a screenshot to compare the two, but.
Cause there was other, I mean, and Amber Osowski, she commented, and that was for people that work at daycare, you know, there was another program that they
no, that was
can
Other, yeah,
capitalize on, you know, for
Yep.
their childcare. But I just think when you say budget, this could range from 5
Yeah.
to, you know, if you go up to age 5 years
Mhm.
for people, that could change immensely.
Say we started at the lowest level to get our feet wet, we could start at $150 up to the age of 36 months. That would put an extra $300 a month in that employee's pocket. You know, we don't have to go big right away, we could start at the low end. I mean, an extra $300 is a lot to an employee that is at the lower end of our level,
Yeah.
pay level.
Yeah.
So, Christie, you had something?
Yeah, I'm just curious, Tanya, do you know, do they report to the payroll department then, and then we pay the next month? Or how does that work, you know, are they
So-
submitting like a dependent care reimbursement? You know, it's after the fact, so.
Sure. So it's, from what I understand, they apply, there's an application process through the state. And then once they're on the program, like, they have to submit information to the state about how old their children are, you know, all of that. So I think the state is handling the administrative end of it, and we're just told that, yes, they're eligible for this or not. And that you should be dispersing the payment to them or not. That's my very rudimentary understanding of it. I didn't read, but there's a whole manual for the employee, how to guide for how to get on the program, but there's not a ton for the employer side, which led me to believe that they're doing all the administrative end of it and verifying. We're just making the payment, is kind of what I gathered. I think that's,
Yeah. So they could pull their kid out of daycare and we still are paying them $150
right.
and then try to get that back once they're,
They have to attest to the state.
yeah.
So I think that I don't know if they're attesting to the state then monthly, would be
Yeah.
my assumption, you know, like, because I don't think we're handling any of that.
Okay, that's my only concern, is
Yeah.
am I gonna, you know, like the dependent care, you know, reimbursement, it's always the month after and you have to prove that you paid that.
Yeah,
So I was just curious how that would work in our office, but.
and I didn't see where, like, if they have attested to the state that, yes, I have a daycare bill, then we pay it. I didn't go get that far to do it to see. I didn't see anything, honestly, because I did read the information that was there, but it was more so geared towards the employee side of it, not us, so. I did open the application, and looked to be a pretty thorough application that the employees have to fill out in order to qualify for it, but.
And I think the other thing we need to keep in mind is other businesses could start utilizing this tool and say they go out to $300 a month, that's a $600 a month. Basically, in essence, a raise for that employee. So I think we need to consider this for retention, not just for recruitment, but for retention as well, because if somebody starts dangling $600 out there in front of that employee, that's additional money, so.
Yeah.
Something to think about. If you, I agree that it should be a budget line item, we need a fairly solid dollar amount, how much is this going to cost? So let's table it, I guess, until budget time,
Okay.
if everybody's in agreement with that.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Tanya, appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Can I just make one quick note, and I didn't think to add to the agenda, but it's an FYI. I said this in the department head meeting last week, but if annual evaluations will be going out again. So, FYI to all of you, Paul, I can work with you directly and explain our process so that you know what I'm talking about and you're not confused. So FYI.
Will you include me with Paul?
Yeah.
Cause I haven't really.
You haven't really had, yet.
Any of
Do you guys have new portfolios yet, or will you?
January, I believe the first meeting in January. we're
Okay.
doing it.
Okay, so. It's up to you how you want to handle that then, in terms of how we will do some of those department heads. I don't know, I can.
We cleaned up what we did before was if your portfolio changed, the
Hold that.
commissioner that had held it for the year conducted the evaluation, but the new commissioner came on, sat in with them, so sure that
Okay,
is how we.
so there might be some gaps there since we have a totally new commissioner and one not here anymore, but I can work with you guys directly anyway, so.
Tanya, are you going to be around for the end on the winter weather policy? Are you able to stay or not?
I can, yeah,
Okay,
Yep.
all right, thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you.
yeah.
You need a break? We good? Okay, then Christie.
Yes. First on the agenda is the deputy auditor two vacancy. Tanya, myself and Chrissy have met. And we feel it's time to put out an application. So I'm looking for a motion to rehire, a deputy auditor two. And my office would be fully staffed.
So move.
Second,
Any discussion? Okay, I'll take roll. Denny,
Yes.
Amy,
Yes.
Paul,
yes,
myself, yes, motion carried.
Thank you. And then the other thing is, at the last meeting, we talked about year-end help with Tyler Technologies, and, I was asked to come back with an update. The motion was for $1,000, it turned out to be $1,040. I got approval from Christy before I booked it, so I just wanted to let you guys know that. I have spent 6+ hours, already setting up 2025. And then the 27th of December, I have another 2 hours, so, the more I think about this, I think I'm gonna during budget season add this to the technology budget, because it is the auditor's office doing it, but it is the county software that is rolling, and there's even a year into it, there's so many tables that affect other tables that you would never be able to know for sure, so. I think I'm gonna try to do this every year, because it's just such a benefit and makes it way more efficient, so. And Jessica's supposed to be coming on Thursday and Friday of this week.
Hmm.
Looking at the weather, I don't know how that's gonna go, but,
Oh, yeah.
so I don't know, I might get a motel room in Grafton just so that I make sure that interstate's not closed, cause it sounds like Thursday might be tough, but. So anyway, but that's a plan, she'll be here Thursday, Friday, helping with, end of the month. Or end of the year, abstracts and primary residency credit stuff, we have a list of things, so that'll be huge, so.
Do you have an alternative date in case you can't come? No,
December 31st is the filing date, so we'll just wing it, I guess, how we do it. I haven't even talked to her now today, or last night when I saw that there was gonna be weather coming, but I think she's coming up tomorrow afternoon, so.
Oh, so
So
she'll be
she'll
there.
be here, yeah,
Oh,
so
okay.
she should be here, so
okay,
that should be fine.
good.
One more thing, tax statements should go out end of this week. They are online. TaxWise was having issues with that primary resident credit, with the programming. I thought 2 Thursdays ago, we would have the file sent and, it took almost a whole week for them. So they are to the printer. I'm just gonna finalize the proofing today, and then they said within 1 to 2 days they'll be out, so it is later than I planned on, but our office was ready, so.
Later than you planned, but still earlier than
Yes,
what we
yes.
did before, so you're still ahead of the game.
Yes, but.
I did look at them last night online,
Yeah.
yeah, very nice.
Yeah, good, yeah, so you can go online and we're getting payments now and that, so, yeah.
Good. Anything else?
No, that's all for,
Madam Chair, being we exceeded the limit of that motion by $40, we need another motion to pay that $40.
Well, I figured normal rounding, we are okay, but.
Just looking at it from another board I'm on, we got dinged because we had exceeded a motion, dollar limit. It's
Okay,
just a matter of.
we can do that,
Yeah.
sure. Okay.
additions to the agenda.
So do I have a motion for the 1,040 to pay to Tyler Technology?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? Thank you for keeping me on the straight and narrow. Okay, I'll take the vote. Denny,
Yes.
Amy.
Yes.
Ernie. you-
I guess I wasn't here enough for it, so I'll say yes. I'm
Paul,
still taking water.
Paul, myself, yes, motion carried. We just approved, we had approved
Yeah.
1,000 before, now it's 1,040, so we
Okay.
approved the extra $40. Okay, Jason's not quite here, not 10 o'clock, so we can go on to Data, should we do
Sure.
data?
That'll be quick, yes. So yesterday I got a call from Energy and they told me that, our server, our Datto server is, it no longer has a warranty. The 5-year warranty expired December 2022. We are fine on our storage, right now, but that Datto is having a end of year push to try to update as many servers as possible. They're gonna do that for free, but Energy would have to come on site and change that out. So the total would be $1,016 to get a new device that has the 5-year warranty on it. With that, we would be signing a 3-year commitment on their backup services. Currently, our monthly price is $865.33. And he had said in the email and on the phone that it's over $900 right now. So something were to happen to our server right now and they would have to come in and replace it, they would be increasing our monthly rate to over $900. So this would keep us at grandfather us in for that other rate, the lower rate. We have room in our technology budget. I feel that, you know, I've coined it the Walsh way, so, I feel like if they're willing to give us a machine for free for, that'll give us a 5-year warranty, I feel like it's a good opportunity for us. And then keeping the rate the same, it would be my recommendation that we continue with this. I did verify that it is a 3-year commitment with the backup service, but that doesn't mean Energy, their Energy just, it's under Energy, but, if we were to go somewhere else, it would just follow our new provider, so.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve the NRG contract as stated?
So moved.
Second,
So moved.
any further discussion? Okay, with that, I'll take roll. Paul,
Yes.
Bernie,
Yes.
Amy,
Yes.
Danny,
Yes.
yeah. Myself, yes, motion carried. Jumping the gun. Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Right for me.
Did I forget to write down after data, what was the next addition?
That ones. Oh,
Yeah.
that one.
I'm sitting here.
The rent we had. I have.
Oh, I didn't write it down.
Enough petition for the day.
Oh. Do you need a few minutes, Jason, or are you ready to go?
I just gotta make sure I grab the right stuff to hand out to you. So it should be. Pretty much that. Got a couple of additions for some things that came in yesterday.
Thank you.
Yeah, imagine. Yes.
Okay.
We'll have. Maybe sign it here, then Chris, you'll have to sign.
But these are something we're going over today, right? So I'll wait till we
Yeah.
review.
Yeah, and then this one. It has. I think I got. Yeah.
Here, you didn't get there too. He needs this one. You got that one too? Yeah.
Okay.
I have, you had mine. Yeah.
I grabbed them wrong. Okay.
Flip that switch.
Well, the Full meeting was there. Since 8, that's very nice.
Been long already. Just a couple of items for you. The first is, want to leave it here, it's for, Don Novak put in a permit request. What's on the last page on that one. For cleaning out a ditch in the yard, in Veselyville. He had it submitted to us early November, or late November, early December, but he hadn't signed it. So what we're looking at is just putting on the books now, so that come spring, to be able to do it. They do have a 6-month window, so they'll have till June to take care of it. And it's easy to do an extension from that point on. The water board approved it, but any issues. We talked about possibility for locations for them with the material to help out Veselyville with some other things around this place too, so. We'll be talking to Donald about that. But just looking for authorizations on the Donald.
I'll make a motion to approve it.
Second,
Second.
any discussion? Okay, take the vote, Denny?
Yes.
Jamie?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Ernie?
Yeah,
Myself, yes, motion carried.
along with that, when he's talking about the location of the dirt, I brought it up, I said, you know, Veselyville's always talked about flooding. They could take some of that dirt and just put a little brim right around the city. Solve two problems in one. Cause it always backs up there and then they worried about it, and some of you were here when they had trouble in Veselyville and it backed up, and I said, now you got the dirt. I told them to talk to Donnie and Vicky's, and I said, you know, just put a little brim there and help yourselves. Good place for the dirt, so. Hope they do.
I'll mention it to him. The next item on my agenda was the Chase building. I just wanted to give you a heads up. Last week, we had issues. It's been an intermittent issue with building on heat where they haven't had any. Custom Air came up and we're looking at things, and they're gonna be looking at a fairly extensive repair or replacement options to look at us. And it's quite possibly could be in the 6-digit range, so, we won't be doing any carpet for a while. That's hold, we're doing anything until we see some of that, we'll have to get some other estimates as well. But I just want to make you aware of that situation, so they have heat right now. But it's a Band-Aid approach for what they've done, so we're hoping we can, the Band-Aid will last for quite a while. But they're looking at options, so just want to make you aware of that. The next item that I have for you on the agenda was the bridge west of number 9 that we talked about last commission meeting. When we decided not to do the Fairdale Bridge, Wade reached out to industrial builders and they said, okay, if you're not gonna do that one, then you need to give us $26,000 more to do the repairs west of national number 9. That's gonna put that project to over $200,000 for repair of the bridge to Skinny to 32 ton. If you look at the bridge that we just did and replaced with box culverts on number 9 and drain 48, that was about a $760,000 So now we're into that, and that's if everything goes right, you're to the price into a complete replacement. So I've had Wade take a look at a couple of things on it. I just want to see your guys' thoughts on it. Right now, honestly, I'm leaning towards not wanting to waste money and have something that we could have another issue with. And maybe have to rebidding it out with some other options. So.
Sure, so originally when we requested quotes, we kind of left it open-ended, trying to keep it. Let some of the bridge contractors, you know, with the bigger machinery like cranes and things, potentially lifting beams off and setting them down. I didn't get confirmation, but I believe that's what I would do. I've visited with some of the Montana state folks, and they do a lot of rehabs on their own. There's an option where they jack it up from the bottom and support it that way. I don't know if we went through and got a little more of a design, just basically getting a little information on the supports, we might be able to get some other contractors that don't have that big equipment interested. IBI was the only ones that put a quote in for it. We sent it to 6, I think. And so that's kind of one of the other options. Like Jason mentioned, that the beams are Also controlling the load ratings would still be posted, so it's a little hard to put that much money in and then still have a posting sign on it. The County Road 6 box that just bid last Friday was $621,000. So, you know, if we're at 200, we're a third of the way to it already. I would say that, I mean, we haven't done hydraulics on it, but I would say it's a similar size to what's on County 6. For the replacement there, but again, it's not gonna be done by spring then. So that's the main drawback. It's just the timeline that it would take to get it replaced.
Couple questions, just, I don't know.
I'm Wade Thompson with KLJ, sorry.
Okay. And then on the bids, so they're increasing the bid on the Nash Bridge because they didn't get, so they kind of bid them together and
They had their mobilization split out between the two sites, that's how
Okay.
they explained it.
So spending $200,000 now, what's to say in 2 years that we're back at it?
Possible.
I don't know if it's worth spending a third of the price on a bridge that we know eventually we're gonna have trouble with. Maybe just wait if we don't do it this spring and do it right and put it on our list and do it the way it should be done. It was a good idea when it was cheaper, but now, like you said, when we're getting in that thing and we really don't have a guarantee of what's happening. Could be in a year, we'll be looking at replacing it, so. Yeah, I don't know what the rest of you think, but I,
So the posting will stay at 9/5/10. You know, and we don't have a time frame of when that would be replaced. I mean, it could be years.
Well, the way we could do, right now, we're looking at it with the prairie dog funding coming in. With the prairie dog funding, we take and tackle another big chunk of our asphalt repairs for mills and overlays. What we could do is delay that and use these funds, the funds from the prairie dog funds when they come and go after this bridge. So you can speed it up. Honestly, happening it this year is still probably not gonna happen. We're still looking at a 2026 construction. Because the contractors are all bidding projects right now. The chances of having somebody that finishes one of the ones that will just bid that will bring it later, maybe one of them will be staying around. Maybe you could get something more, but I don't, from all the projects that are out right now, with everything being backed up from last year, there's not much left for contractors in their timeframes, and I imagine,
Yeah, I mean, I think the contractors, depending on what the replacement ends up being, if it's a box culvert, the timeline crunch would be the manufacturers, which have been told that they're caught up currently. I think we'd be able to find a contractor to put those in. We had some pretty competitive bids on the ones that just went, so I think there are still housing capacity out there. So again, if it's a bridge, the bridge contractors are starting to fill up. If it's a box, it's just the suppliers and manufacturers are the ones that get a little concerned on.
then
So the aluminum boxes still cost the,
we haven't had any other issues show up with the one that we have put in. The last, when we put in the aluminum boxes we did, the aluminum box cover was a little bit more expensive than the concrete at that point in time. The reason we really went with the aluminum is because of the time frame for getting the materials. From what I've heard and White's told me is those prices are pretty much washed out.
Yeah, when you get the bigger ones like that, like this one would most likely be, it seems like it's quite a bit of labor and it ends up climbing like pretty much on par with the concrete ones. Again, the schedule is usually kind of what, you know, the difference between it is, so.
my fear is if we do the patchwork in 2 years down the road, or 3 or 5, or we don't know, how much more is it gonna cost us then?
yeah,
You know yourself, construction costs. The water board was talking about it down there today, they're having trouble getting bids on some too, and everything's going up. You see it coming down? I don't.
It levels off,
Yeah.
in the last bid opening, the estimates were, most of the project's estimates were high. Which is, I mean, it's good, it doesn't sound good, but it is good, because it means the contractors were very competitive on it, and it's, you know, our applicants, we kept trying to chase that rising cost, and so it seems like we've maybe leveled. I don't know if they're going down, I've never seen them go down, but
When's the last time we got 3 or 4 companies bid and then all of a sudden there'll be a lowball one that we can take? It ain't anymore.
right,
You know, back in the days, there used to always be money that was lower here and we take them, but now we don't see that.
You're saying they communicate?
Well, I'm not saying that, I'm just saying they all know they're all busy and they all know the product's going up.
They could have figured out.
Would it be possible to get this put in on flex funds or the next round of applications?
yep, and so I know. A lot of the stuff that they look at with that flex funds is if you have a design ready to go, that basically gives you points right there, cause they know that. You can basically bid it, as soon as it's selected, you can bid it, and then they can put those funds somewhere and put them to use instead of having it in the design portal for a while.
Oh,
What are the flex funds? Can you explain that to me?
And it's state funding ones they put up to help with road infrastructure, bridge infrastructure, large culvert replacements. The flex funds are open up to all counties. And townships can actually apply for those flex funds as well. And then the township assistance program is only for townships, so it narrows down the people that you're competing with. Well, the flex funds, there's pretty heavy competition for those.
It's an application, they sent out applications, last year was the first year they had done it, and they anticipate them coming out early summer again this year.
But there's also an advantage to having the project shovel ready when they come on.
Yeah,
I would get,
We benefited from that in the past.
Yes.
I would get this ready and on board, so if it does come, we've got it.
So is that 100%?
it can vary, basically, the way we approached it in the last submittal was. You get points if you have some skin in the game, so we submitted like an 80-20. And so they have, what you say you're gonna commit at 20% of the estimated cost at time of application, that's what you're capped at. If the cost comes in higher, obviously, within reason, the DOT covers the excess, so at most you'd be at what you committed to at the application.
So are we submitting this on behalf of the township then? I'm a little
Be the county.
confused. But it's township flex funds?
No, on the flex funds, it's opened up to everybody that's not the state. So the county road departments, township, they can all apply for it.
Okay.
Yeah, so flex funds specifically, that's everybody, there's a separate smaller pot that is township specific. But what we would be pursuing would be the overall flex funds.
Okay, is there a specific dollar amount that every, like a limit to how much you can get?
No, I don't believe so. I know we wouldn't surpass it with what we would have for this one.
I think we should explain to Paul what the county's
Guidelines,
guidelines are on replacing bridges and everything.
Yeah.
Even though it's township,
yeah.
a certain size and everything, it falls into the, why don't you guys explain it so he knows what we're doing here?
Every culvert that's 8 foot or larger is considered a bridge. If you can space out that by putting a couple of culverts and putting a distance in between them, you can actually remove that from being a bridge. You have to be over half of the diameter of the culverts for spacing between the two. Anything that's from that 8 to 20 foot range, the state does not inspect. That's up to the counties or the townships. In Walsh County, the county is in charge of all those bridges from the 8 to 20 foot. From 20 feet and higher, they're all inspected by the state, and that's where the bridge inspection bill bids and those prices came, we have those bills. And then they kind of set the different things for us on those as to the tonnage and the ratings, and we don't have a choice on those. They set that, and then we're in charge of those. So basically, every bridge in the county, the 500 are our responsibilities.
Probably explain the culverts too. If there's, because we're responsible for some certain culverts in the
So
township.
some of the bridges that were removed in the past have been replaced with culverts. There's a couple that we're just being able of this morning at the water board, and those culverts were not turned over back to the townships. And one of them is still considered a bridge site because the culverts weren't spaced out far enough. So the county is still responsible for repairs in those areas because they weren't. Now, some of the things that I've been looking at and talking with townships is when we remove some of these bridges, is making an agreement with them saying, we will replace it with this culvert. And then afterwards, we'll turn over to you for your responsibilities. And most of them have been really receptive to that. Cause they know where we are and they're gonna have a culvert that we're putting in, that, you know, they're really not gonna have to worry about for theoretically 50 years. So
But all culverts with 36 inches and larger are county.
all the culverts 36 inches and larger, the county does a cost share on of 70% for the first 40 feet. Anything after that first 40 feet, they're responsible for, but we do not pay for any of the installation for the township culverts. If it's a culvert that goes into an approach into a field or a private residence, there's no cost shares for those. Those are private, but they need to get a permit from either the township or the county to install that culvert in the area. And we need to let the water board know as well, that those culverts are going in, so we make sure that nobody is getting any issues. All culverts have to have, unless we're putting in the exact same size, we have to put in hydraulic studies to see and make sure that we're not doing any harm to anybody downstream, so we're not flooding them out. That was another topic that we had a discussion downstairs this morning, for a different portion. So if it's a county, the culvert is at the intersection of a county road and a state road, it's the state's responsibility to maintain that culvert in that right of way. If it's a county to county, it's ours, and if it's county to township, it's the county's, it always goes up to the higher level.
Thank you.
Then explain the water board, legal drains.
I don't think there's an issue,
We'll go there on a different day. There's plenty for today.
Yeah. So,
I think we should get back to the county,
Yeah.
or to the subject of our county 9.
right,
Good discussion and good
Yeah.
explanations.
you might be, just stop in and.
Yeah. Okay, so as far as county 9. You're
guess-
just going to look into other options, is the board okay with
That's
that?
what I wanna know, wanna see is make sure you are okay with that, because to Wade and I. We feel more comfortable putting the brakes to this and making sure we can do it right than wasting money that we don't have when we have such problems with bridges and culverts and everything in the county the way it is. That also put brakes to other things too, to make sure we have what we have, or we needed to do some things, but I think in the long run, that's the best route for this project. Is to reassess and take care of some things. I've spoken with our guys about doing these type of repairs in the future. They're not against it, but they really don't want to start with a bridge of this size and of this magnitude. So what we're thinking is maybe taking a look at purchasing some equipment so we can start on some of the smaller bridges. To kind of work our way into it, because they've never done anything like this. I don't want them to feel like we're pushing them into doing something they're not comfortable with. And if they're not comfortable with it, putting the risk for something to go wrong. I'm not comfortable with that either. I'm not gonna ask them to do anything I wouldn't do myself.
Denny,
Just to be clear, this is Weston Nash.
West of Nash,
You ever had a traffic counter out there or determined
we're gonna move the traffic counter we have for on to see what we have.
about that one by Fairdale?
We haven't put a traffic counter on that one either, so. But,
Just be interested in all of it.
yeah,
did one ever get put on 12B? We were discussing putting one there. Is that-
I have to ask Dean where that was, cause he was gonna put it up there, I don't know what numbers he got from, he was gonna give me a report on some stuff, so I gotta touch base with Dean.
Okay. So, do we need a motion? Since we made a motion prior, we don't need a motion or anything now, we can
No,
just
I
table
think
this?
I think we can just table it, but I just
Okay.
wanna make sure, because we've given the approval to industrial builders, but I don't think we need an approval to remove.
Okay.
That authorization.
Wanted to make sure.
The notice to proceed, so.
Okay, well, keep us updated on what you find out.
Before I turn it over to Wade, we got a couple of new ones that I handed out to you, hopefully I handed out everything, if I didn't, let me know. Seems like I got extra. The one item that we have is everybody's favorite. Bridge inspection cost from the DOT, this came in on Monday. It's $20,577.86 for this latest round of bridge inspections. Or right, it was like 40 of them on this one.
Last month wasn't 18,000?
The it'll be 2 months when they're coming through this, there was, they did 109 last year, for inspections of our 207.
So is this going to be our last bill then
Nope.
for the year?
Well, yeah, it will be for 2024.
For 2024, yeah.
Yes, it'll be
Yeah.
our last bill for
Last bill forever
2024.
would be great.
Yeah.
I was just looking at the
We'll
numbers
get
here.
we'll get another bill in January for inspections of the did in 2024, but yeah, this will be our last bill for the year.
So basically for 2024, it cost us $183,413.
That's also includes, the bills for, the other counties are part of it, but yeah.
Okay.
We're getting the brunt of it this time around. Between us and Grand Forks County, I think we had the most in these inspections.
Because we have the most bridges.
Yeah,
We're number 2, right? They're number 1.
yeah, well, it's either a big.
I'd argue that, I think we're one there too.
We're trying to make sure, I'm trying to go to 3.
I don't wanna be number 1. Okay, do I have a motion to approve the bill? From where's this from?
Department of Transportation.
DOT.
So I'll move.
Second.
Any discussion?
One thought, we're talking about this bridge west of 9, I mean, obviously, if that's the better route and that's what surveying goes, I just know we discussed before, how can we get away from bridge inspections? And it's the idea of not replacing bridges if we don't need to, so I mean, I think that's something to keep in mind, we were gonna proceed with west of 9 we talked about more of a large culvert versus the actual bridge, so I mean, obviously, if it's needed and necessary there, that's one thing, but that's one of the things we discuss all the time when we're complaining about these inspections is, are we gonna lower the cost of it, not replacing every bridge that we have when we proceed forward, so.
Something with the culvert to the side, it's gonna be putting an inspection to it, so the biggest thing will be is if it's a concrete or an aluminum box culvert, they go to a 4-year inspection instead of a 2-year. So you get a little bit of cost savings, but no matter what on the river and on this one, we're gonna get an inspection.
Yeah.
This is one of those we're not gonna be able to get away with.
Any further discussion? Okay, I'll take the vote. Danny?
Yes.
Amy? Yes. Ernie?
No.
Paul?
Yes,
Myself, yes, motion approved.
I have a question about the Chase building, if I could.
Yes, we can go back to that. Sure.
I was just wondering if it would be possible to get an income and expense statement of the Chase building.
I can sure try to get something.
And let me see.
Yeah. Yes, I'll work on that.
No hurry.
And then we had good news. So, it also comes from DOT, so they are giving us both today. They did the bids for, on December 13th for the Thorson Bridge and the bridge that washed away in the flood in 2022. Which one was, and those came in and they've accepted the bids. They just were looking for us to authorize saying we still want to go through with the project. Those two will be to the tune of a replacement of $2,612.40. And Glazing Construction was the awarded that. They're the ones that just finished the project on number 9 and drain 48 for us as well. They have a box color, so they have a really good working history with us, so I'm very confident in their performances. The other one is on number 6 by Rutherford's south between number 9 and 17. That bridge will be replaced, box culvert, to the tune of $621,231.80. We'll be looking at, signing off on these. Then we'll have to hire engineers to actually go through the next portion, which that's already out in the paper, so once that finishes up this week. Then we can get those, interviews scheduled out really quick, with engineering firms, get them on board, and that'll put us in the fast piece for getting out there for, getting the started this year.
And what was our cost share on these?
None,
None, these are fully paid
these are
for.
fully paid for.
Well, they just redeemed themselves.
I'll make a motion, we do this before they change their mind.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Okay, I'll take roll. Paul,
Yes.
Ernie.
Yes.
Amy. Yes. Danny.
Yes,
Myself, yes, motion carried.
That's the last thing I have is to turn over to Wade, he has some things for you guys.
Yeah, kind of the end of the year and just wanna show appreciation for being able to work with you guys. So I've got a couple pocket calendars.
Thank you, Wade.
And also some mugs. We really do, I know it's not always fun having to deal with us, cause it's difficult situations, but we really do appreciate the good relationship that we have with you guys and we really look forward to continuing it and help you guys solve some of these problems.
Well, we feel the same and we appreciate. We appreciate your help. And yes, your expertise for sure. Thank you.
Thank you, Wade.
Sure, that, and Paul, if you got questions, on other things, and I know Jason knows most of it, but I'm very fine with Connie there in the office, feel free to stop in and go any questions, we got. Pretty much need the full alphabet to keep track of all the DOT programs that are out there, so it's not an easy task, but, yeah, otherwise, we do have a couple other projects that are ongoing, the Hagen Bridge project, that one. We're through design, we're just waiting for all of the red tape to get done and hopefully that one will be good in March. The Minto Bridge, on the southwest of Minto, basically same status. Design is essentially wrapped up. We'll have a plan stamped by the end of the year and that one is hopefully in March. That one will probably have a 2-year completion date. Just to, as Jason mentioned, some of the bridge guys are getting kind of full. So trying to have good prices on it. We try to give them a little time to plan. The bridge in Glenwood Township by Swanson's and the bridge in Golden Valley Township, those are also both quite a ways into design. Those are flex fund projects, so we'll look. The Glenwood Township one does have construction funds allocated for it, so we'll try to get that one bid as soon as we get all the permits out. Possibly still build it yet this year. And the Golden Valley one was design only, so that we could, they kind of said it's a good candidate to be funded for construction in the next round of flex funds.
So hopefully we can use the flex funds this time to get a shovel ready project, so the next flex funds come out, we can give it back to them.
Yep.
So that's our intentions, and Wade and I have talked about it in the past, and we're working towards it. We're kind of getting more and more out there on it, and it is having more projects that are shovel ready. So that when these funding chances do come up, we have something that gives us an extra check mark, an extra plus.
And we felt we had good success with the flex funds that.
Yes.
The last go around, well, the first go around, right? That was the
Yep.
first
Yeah.
go around.
Yep.
Yeah, we still have the options to work with grant folks or Pembina County to bundle things together too, but. With the projects that we've been bundling together right now, we haven't had to go outside the county to do stuff, but it's something that. Between KLJ and highway superintendents, we keep talking about the possible opening it back up, but Grand Forks hasn't had any to, because they have all kinds of them to do inside and so.
Has the state been increasing that flex funding?
So that's flex funding, it's new. Last year was the first year they've done it, so it was kind of a way of trying to help. Get the counties up to average on the bridge conditions and things like that. Yeah, and they also increased the federal aid that each county receives. I remember if it was by like 15%. So they're trying, I give them a little bit of credit, I guess. They're trying to help get on top of things, so.
Okay, Denny?
it's another feather in Wade's hat, you're not only our bridge guy for this county, KLJ, but you're also on the regional, you all the way down to Denver.
Yeah, we have offices all the way down to Denver and Montana to Minnesota, basically the whole Midwest, so.
And you're on that board for KLJ, or what is your position?
Yeah, I lead our bridge group.
Yeah,
Yeah, overall bridge group, so we got 13 staff to all of our offices, so.
so you're very well versed.
We got a lot of good support.
If you wanna meet with them, you gotta do it not between 1 and 2, usually napping. And And we do appreciate what you do, Wayne.
Yeah, very
You
much.
do a lot.
Appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Stacy.
Have a good Christmas.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Merry Christmas to
Madam
you.
Chair.
If you don't have anything else, that's all I had for you today. Unless you have any questions.
Oh.
Appreciate it.
Sorry, Jason, there was a couple questions that I missed, I guess. Amy.
I did visit with Katie Thompson, who we were discussing replacing the flooring, and she had brought up discussion of the bathrooms for the extension office.
Yeah.
So, Katie's gonna proceed with bids, to get out and then probably touch base with you.
Yep,
To coordinate so we can get those updated.
yep, no problem.
Okay, and then I believe there was also a question on a bill. We couldn't answer, so we thought we'd just ask you when you came up here. It was for snow removal, 300 plus some.
Yeah, custom 365.
365. Can you explain that?
Yeah, so when it was entered, it was $9,500 of it went to extra health line. And so we were wondering why,
That's what they've done in the past, is the snow removal came out of extra help and snow removal, because there's two different funds for it,
okay,
so
That seems odd.
yeah,
I agree.
Can we get that straightened out for the coming year?
Yeah.
To me, snow removal is snow removal.
Yeah.
Why would we have an extra help?
No.
Okay,
No.
because there's money in that line, the snow removal line.
Mhm.
So I wasn't sure what was the
Yeah,
deal with
it's-
that.
It's a weird one,
Okay,
but we're still within budget on the snow removal. and-
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
okay,
all right, yeah, let's get that straightened out for the coming year.
yeah.
Okay, great, thank you, appreciate it. All right, let's take a quick break. Getting back to order. Okay, up next is the winter weather policy, and I asked Kelly and Tanya to be here as well for this update. This topic came up at our department head meeting the other day on winter weather policy, and Ron needs to be included as well. I was a little surprised when it came up that the policy was that Ron as sheriff contacts the chairman, and the chairman has the final decision on if the courthouse is opened or closed. Personally, I don't feel qualified to make that decision from my home. If I was going to make that decision, I would be out having to drive around the county and check on the roads. And Ron has his deputies out there, he's out there. I feel he's more qualified to make that decision, so we wanted to have some discussion on it. And Kelly had mentioned at our department head meeting that there could be potential liability issues as a commissioner making that decision. So Kelly, do you just want to speak on that a bit?
Certainly, thank you. So in general, employers have a duty to ensure the health and safety of employees. That does extend to protecting workers from adverse weather conditions. And so I've kind of been bothered by this since it changed, to be honest. I wasn't state attorney at the time that it changed. But it's always kind of made me a little bit concerned about liability issues because really, there aren't any duties of the commissioner that extend to public safety or protecting individuals and that sort of thing. That seems to fall mainly in the sheriff's realm. In addition, Ron has more resources, I think, than a commissioner making that determination. So if we're looking at liability and negligence issues, a commissioner sitting in their home making that determination is not, I don't think it's the best idea. I think that Ron has North Dakota Highway Patrol sources, he has deputies on the road, so I've always thought that that is something that should fall on the sheriff and should not be the final determination being with one particular commissioner or another, as far as if we're gonna consider liability issues, so. It also says employers should not encourage, based upon my research, should not encourage employees to travel when it's not safe, such as when adverse weather warnings telling people not to travel, only travel in emergencies, those sorts of things are issues. So I'm just bringing that up to.
Along with that, I sort of agree with you. I'll never forget the time I was in Bismarck. We were at, I don't remember if it was convention or whatever for the highway or whatever. And Lauren calls me and he says, we should close it. And I said, what do you mean? And I was chairman. I said, what do you mean, Lauren? Close it. I said, why? He said, well, it's icy and I just hit the ditch. I said, so you want me to make that call from Bismarck? I never felt comfortable with it. I totally get it. I think you got people out there that are in the situation and everything else. It's just not for us to make that call. I totally get it. And I'll use that as an example because I felt uncomfortable doing it that time.
And I do think, because I know in the past, there's been not support for the sheriff when they do make a decision and they make the decision, of course, everybody would make a decision just based upon what they believe is appropriate at the time. And so I think also then there shouldn't be any, we shouldn't second guess that decision, if that is the decision that's made.
Amy, I think of, schools, and as parents, you're sometimes going, why haven't they closed school? Why haven't they closed it yet? Why haven't they? And
Or why have they?
or why have they?
Both
Both
ways.
sides, but then I have someone in St. Thomas that says it's totally different, and like the administrator, they have to make the decision for the entire school and the area and where people, and we're in a rural area that can vary. From 10 miles, it can be completely different, in conditions that would be fine one place, but not another. So I agree, I think it has to be a supported, that we trust our sheriff, they know they're on the roads, they put it out there and let us know, don't travel and this is why, and it needs to be supported, that's what it is.
Any other discussion, concerns?
So we're putting it all on Ron?
Right, Ron, do you have anything?
It is the one decision that I hate, because I think in the past, no current commissioners, but in the past, I've asked to have it closed and it was not. Every person is different and I know I called Christie and asked her what her level of comfort was in that, but ultimately, if you trust me to have a $2 million budget with all my budgets, I would hope you would trust me enough to make the decision whether we should close or not. And I do not do this lightly, and it is a decision that I would hope the employees would support. But it is, I go out on the roads, I'm usually out by 5 o'clock in the morning driving the roads. And our county is absolutely so different from east to west. It can be sunshine and Adams and complete blizzard down by Grafton. So it is a decision that I don't take lightly, and according to our policy manual, and I'll let Tanya read what it says, because I think the policy manual needs to be changed.
So we have a paragraph on closure of county offices. It actually states, well, I'll just read it. In the event of hazardous weather, the sheriff or his designee may delay the opening or close of county offices. So it starts out saying he has the authority, and it seems like alone, to delay. If closure of the county offices for a full day is deemed prudent, the sheriff or his designee will contact a county commissioner, probably the chair or vice chair, and upon their concurrence, the sheriff or his designee may close the county offices, except for the sheriff's office, county highway department, 911 center, emergency management and correctional. So it, of course, excludes the departments that still need to operate. But it's upon their concurrence. I think that at one point in time, we added that, I think I might remember that, because there was some strong feelings that a commissioner needed to be involved with the decision. And so, I think that we did that years ago, and I don't know, Ernie, you might remember it, and I don't know, Danny, you do too, but yeah. So I think we added that statement at one point in time, and prior to that was, I think, just the sheriff, but.
And in response to that, you got, all us commissioners think different, and we live in different areas. And in defense of Ron, I know there's one commissioner in the past. He'd have never closed the county, just hated it. And you gotta think of the safety of the people, and that's to me why we should rely on him and go to him, because he knows more what's out there, and he's more into safety, and we all think it, but next year I'll say we shouldn't close it, and this year she'll say we should close it. Leave it to him, and then it's, you got a standard there. So, yeah, I think it's a good move.
I did visit with Ron, I didn't want to put more pressure on him, but honestly, I feel we're putting more pressure on him by him having to ask for approval from a commissioner to close. He's already made the determination of what he feels is best. He's calling, he's calling the chair, he's explaining what he feels is best, and then if that chair disagrees with him, who do you think the pressure falls on when he comes to work and say we don't close, and then all the employees are upset basically with Ron, probably with the chair as well, but I don't think the chair hears from the employees. I think Ron hears from the employees. So I agree. I think if Ron is fine with it, I think we allow Ron to make the decision. And then we ask for full support from the employees, which means nobody is second guessing him. Nobody is contacting him and saying, why weren't we closed? Why didn't we have a late opening, whatever? They just leave it alone. Ron makes the decision, and I know Ron will not make it lightly. I'm fully aware of that. So, Paul.
I guess I agree. I think it should be a decision of the sheriff. I think that policy should be changed. This is one of those things, no matter what you do, there's always gonna be somebody that doesn't look good. I wouldn't feel comfortable making that decision, sitting in my house, not being able to know what's going on. I would say, one thing that, maybe would help is to just delay opening till 10 AM. And you could update that delay and push it back till noon.
I think we've done that in the past, and it seems to work. That way, it can be all blizzard at 6 AM and by 10 o'clock the sun's shining. So I agree with you. I've never been in support of having a full closure during the day. Limit the opening and then you can make the decision, update that decision as the day moves forward, yes.
Things look a lot different when the sun comes up.
Yeah, for sure.
Mhm.
And so that would be one thing I would say, but I totally support the sheriff making the determination, because we just don't have the tools.
Amy?
And Madam Chair, thinking about like concurring with the chair initially was like, well, we do need to know, well, we have very updated technology now. I mean, we have to like literally call or hit a button to say that we've received this, so we all will know. And I think that could delay if he needs to call and talk with you, talk it over, then he decides it. It could be when we get an 8 AM call that school is closed and everyone's frustrated. I mean, the more people you involve, the more it can just take longer to do what needs to be done. So, and I like the idea of delay too, and just take it hour by hour.
Ron?
I would absolutely be updating the chair, of what my decision would be. Not that I would leave, the commission in the dark on what my decision is. But to have them veto my decision, I think is why have me out there then?
Yeah. Okay, do we need, Paul?
I would like a copy of that manual that you referenced.
It's on the county website as well, but I can definitely share
I can find it.
it. Okay,
Tanya?
yeah, I just want to have one more thing to add, as long as we're talking about the policy. I'm noticing right beneath that paragraph, the notice to the public section, and maybe this should be addressed, just because I don't know if this is coming or up to date. It's the notice to the public, when the sheriff has delayed or closed county offices, the following local media should be notified. KXPO for radio, but then it also has WDAC for television. Is that?
And we've, in the past, we've, tried to notify WDAZ, they don't have a local office anymore, and trying to update, the media of that has been a nightmare, so I would ask that, updating KXPO, and our website, would be, and take off WDAZ altogether. That gets to be more of a nightmare than it's worth.
Is everyone fine with that? Okay,
I think with the notifications of Everbridge that we all get, I think there's a lot of new technology that makes everybody accessible to those updates anyway, but
mhm.
our website and the local media, I think is suffices.
Sounds good.
So with respect to this, are we gonna change, you're gonna change that policy and then
Yeah.
update it?
What I would do then, what I'm hearing is just remove that short statement upon their concurrence. So that there isn't a requirement that there needs to be an agreement from the commission. I maybe even remove the whole sentence. You're gonna update them just as a courtesy, but. I'll remove that part of it and then remove the WDAC and just put that on our county website, so.
So you don't need this in the form of a motion, then it's just to update the policy?
It's a policy manual update, and our policy manual states any policy changes require a first reading and a second reading. So if you could call this your first reading as long as you agree with those changes that I just said, and then we would finalize it in 30 days is how the policy is written, so.
Okay,
I would make the motion to approve the policy as stated. I thought you for first reading today.
do you have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion?
I just wanted to say, I appreciate you bringing up the liability portion of it too, because to me, that's an important component to this. We don't want to expose ourselves any more than we need to as the commission.
Agreed.
I just
Tanya?
have one more comment after thinking about it. I don't, this
Oh,
is
it's
my
just gonna
opinion,
be-
maybe Kelly, you want to weigh in. I don't know for a policy like this. I think you could choose to adopt it immediately, or would they still need to always follow the 30-day rule that the policy states for something like this? I don't know.
I'm not sure either. I think
Yeah.
maybe if that's what our.
How it's
policy
written, you
states.
should stick to that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so.
Yep, I just wanted to,
I don't know, I'd have to look at it to see, but.
Right.
Does it talk anything about new policies or amending policies or
I don't think
does
so.
it distinguish between the two? If it doesn't, I would just say, be on the safe side, just adopt it in 30 days.
Okay. It just said, yeah. Any changes made would require a first and second reading. Yeah, and they must be 30 days apart, so we'll just do it as stated, so, okay.
So Ron will give me a call, say he wants to close, I will say, yes, we can close, and I will get the blame for the next 30 days. After that, it's all yours, Ron.
Just remember to contact us then, yeah,
Yes.
just remember to contact us that it's closed.
Yes. Okay, sounds good. I'll take roll. Denny,
Yes.
Amy,
Yes.
Ernie.
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
myself, yes, motion carried. Okay, one other thing on the winter weather policy that I just wanna address quickly, at the department head meeting. It was asked if we could possibly allow employees to use sick leave if they can't make it into work. If the courthouse is open and the employee, we ask the employees to, everybody has a different comfort level, right? And everybody lives in a different area. So if they're not comfortable coming in, if they choose not to come in and the courthouse is open, they're required to take annual leave, or they can do comp time if they can make it up within that week. The request was to allow them to use sick leave. At that department head meeting, I said I was not in favor of that, but after thinking about it, I thought, that's not my sole decision. So I just wanted to bring it to all the commissioners to see your feeling. The reason I wasn't in favor of using sick leave is it was presented that, it's a mental stress on them, on the employees when they can't get to work because of weather conditions. But my thought is there's a lot of issues that could be a mental stress. An employee has young children in the daycare and the daycare closes. Well, that's a mental stress on the employee. Are we going to open that can of worms and allow them to use sick leave for all those different things? So I felt we should stick to policy where it's annual leave or the advanced comp. But I just wanted to run it by the rest of the commissioners and see if you feel the same or differently.
I guess I feel the same as you do.
I agree with you too.
Okay.
I don't have I see more and more places that don't even have sick leave, it's
It's
part of the.
PTO, right?
Yeah, it's
Right.
just part of it because you don't want it abused for,
Right.
it's leave, whatever, so,
Different issues. Okay,
Which brings up another conversation about PTO and, maybe that would be a benefit to PTO. Is that they can use it when they need it. So that may be a more global conversation that we could have in the future about switching from vacation and sick leave to a PTO type of arrangement. That maybe has some.
Merit.
Yeah, some merit, yeah.
I think you take off, we talk with department heads and we've talked about this before, are they sick? It really brings opens some worms that with abuse and whatever cans of worms that you worry about if you don't wanna have to make that decision, and if they're an employee and whether they're a department head or they're just an employee, they earn PTO, they should be able to use it how they determine and then it's done, and it's not us to decide, but.
Personally, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Paul.
I would be open to allowing an employee in that situation to make up that time over the course of a pay period or a month or, where they wouldn't necessarily have to do it all in the same week, but even if they had to go in arrears on their vacation time, they would be able to make that time, like comp time. I don't know exactly how to explain it, but I would be open to that type of arrangement where they would be allowed to make that up over the course of a number of days or weeks, rather than it's gotta be done this week.
Tanya, do you have anything to add to that as far as?
I do, so that, I think that's a decent idea. The catch with that approach though would be that anytime we have a non-exempt employee working more than 40 hours in a work week, comp time kicks in, meaning those extra hours, so say somebody missed 4 hours of work this week because of weather. If they worked 44 hours next week, those extra 4 hours are now worth 6 hours because they're earning that time and a half. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when we switch into the next work week, when we roll over to that next work week, that's the hiccup with that approach. Because anytime they're physically working more than 40, it's law that they're either paid that, those extra hours and overtime or comp time between time and half rate. So that would be the hard part about allowing that, is that those extra hours then, even if they were in the negative, we call it, negative comp time or flex or something like that, we're obligated to give it that time and a half credit that next week. So they're earning extra time just for trying to make it up. So that's the hard part to using that approach.
Okay,
It's always something.
Yes,
and as far as the PTO too, the one thing I just wanna mention, if we ever do go down that road, we need to be aware that, we just implemented a policy where we do pay out on sick leave. We pay out 10% of the sick leave, I believe, when they retire. So we'd have to figure out how to maneuver that as well, if we ever switch to PTO, so. Okay, I just wanted to get everyone's impression as well on using sick leave, so I'm hearing, no, we keep the policies the same. Okay, all right, thank you. Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And Tanya.
So I will bring this for a second reading I was just gonna look at the calendar. It would be January 21st then. So I'll bring this second reading for
Perfect.
this.
And hopefully between now and then, we have no bad weather.
Remember
Should be here
Is that
Thursday.
wood, Jason? Is that wood?
that. Yeah.
Okay, should we go on to City of Adams?
Sure. Okay, so the city of Adams, we sent letters to the cities that had parcels that did not sell. Like we typically do for, the city has an opportunity to buy them for $1. And I sent 3 of them to the city of Adams. And they would like to purchase all 3 of them. There are other parcels in the city of Adams that are hung up, but after visiting with Kelly and, our Dan Gosted, we're gonna hold off on doing anything with those parcels. So these 3 parcels are not tied to any lawsuit or anything like that. So I am just looking for a motion to sell, the Adam and Jessica, is it Feist parcel, and, Carla Grossman has 2 parcels. City of Adams would like to buy them for $1.
So move.
For a second,
I'll second.
any further discussion? If not, I'll take roll. Paul,
Yes.
Ernie,
Yes,
Amy,
Yes.
Danny,
Yes,
myself, yes, motion carried. Okay, and then Danny, you had
Coast Conservation.
Soil Conservation District?
Christie and I both attended the last meeting and we found out that they had taken a 5% increase in wages without any board authorization. They had taken it in April and then they made it retroactive to March, I believe is right. But it was a 5% raise without any authorization from any of the board members. And I have to thank Alan Zeiden for bringing the light. But the board did go back and made another motion to allow it to happen, which I question how they could do that, but they did. And I don't know how Ernie was doing some digging on the,
I guess. It's hard to find out who to talk to or whatever and everything else, and it's the stuff you hear that's going on there. I guess I'm not comfortable with, and I don't think Danny is, and you go to the meetings, but. I looked in there and I just wanna make sure they're doing their audits and up to date, and it says in the soil conservation, I don't remember the bylaws or where I went back into. That they gotta be update and open and receipts and disbursements and all that, and I'm just sort of questioning if they are. If they've had an audit lately and stuff, cause you hear, and I don't know if they're rumors or truths, but there's a lot of spending going on there. And nothing really getting done, so I guess if you go back to them, I would make sure that the audit's there and they got a book of records, it's all should be open to the public. You know, it's just, I don't know what's going on there, but.
I know another board that I'm sitting on that audited pretty closely, and this would never have.
No.
Passed this.
No.
My concern is, I don't feel like it was a slip up because the individual who takes care of their books, does their accounting, asked for a copy of the minutes. It was my understanding a copy of the minutes was asked for before she would allow this 5% increase to be processed. At that point, would you not have realized you didn't have a copy of the minutes with a motion to approve the raise? I just can't imagine how you couldn't realize that. So the chairman called the accountant and said, process the 5% raise
Without board. approval.
without board approval, without minutes. That concerns me. And then the fact that they decided to just make a motion that day, and this was just what, last week we were in there? They made a motion that day to say, oh, okay, we'll make a motion now to go back and say, yes, we approved the 5% raise back to March, and they paid it out. So that, it's disturbing. But Denny, as portfolio holder, has a right to come here to our meetings, and not just a right, he has a responsibility to come to the commissioner meetings and update us on the portfolios, as we should all be doing, like I did with the department head meeting today, I updated you. Denny should be updating on soil conservation district, everyone brings their portfolios, the information back here and updates us, so appreciate that, Denny, that you did that. All right, moving on. I had a department head meeting. I hadn't done that yet. I'm just going to now. So, department head meeting, was that last week or the week before? We had so many meetings last week, I don't know where it was. One thing that was mentioned at our department head meeting was the website rollout. That's exciting. We're getting very close to the website rollout. I believe Ed mentioned January, no later than February 1, but.
Alan actually sent an email this morning, so I
Oh.
assume he included all the prisoners, I didn't look, but you all have an email with the new site design.
Oh, and it was
But it's not
Alan.
public yet. Yeah.
Okay, so it was Alan, not Ed.
Yeah, it
Excuse me,
was
Ed's the
Alan.
chairman, but
Yeah,
Alan mentioned that the website rollout, so we can all see it now.
yeah, it is not public yet, but yes, in the email I glanced at it, it's there and we can look at it and provide feedback, and then he's looking to schedule training.
Okay,
Soon for us to all know how to update it and edit.
good.
It's fairly extensive, so 3-hour training or 2 90-minute option.
Okay.
As far as the training, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, well, it's exciting and I appreciate that Alan was willing to take that on, so. Another thing we talked about at our department head meeting was, I had mentioned, we've talked here before about doing a 5-year strategic plan, so I mentioned it to the department head so they could start thinking about different things that they want on this strategic plan. I am working with NDSU. Ashley had a Zoom call with 3 people from NDSU yesterday and they are willing to facilitate it. They have some really good ideas. And they are gathering dates right now, so we're looking at some dates. It would be for the commission and department heads. And they suggested starting out with like a 3-hour meeting, one afternoon, one morning, one afternoon, and then a follow-up meeting a week later. So if you guys are all in favor of that, I'd like to continue to proceed with it.
The NSU extension or?
NDSU extension, yeah. So Katie Thompson would be involved, Carrie from Pembina County. Jody Bruns is actually the one who heads it up, but she is in Oaks, I believe.
Yeah, she's not local at all. Yeah,
No.
I don't remember where she is. Maybe Oaks, yeah.
So we're not sure if she would actually come up, but it sounded like Katie and the Pembina County agent leader together, Carrie. So it'd be two afternoon sessions most likely. They were looking at afternoon, so. Okay, and the other thing I had was professional development day. That's just kind of what we titled it. I asked NDSU as well. I said, I feel like we could do something for our employees, some type of an employee development day. And right away they were on board and they had some great ideas. They have this program they call Real Colors. And they would like to present that. And I thought it sounded very good. So if you guys are open to that, we'd like to start with. We can't close the courthouse down to do this, obviously. So we'd like to start with commissioners and department heads, have them go through the program. It would be a one-day session. And then after that, support staff, and maybe have a couple different sessions for the support staff. So a fee would probably be about $15 per person for the supplies is what they said.
We actually had them sorry,
No,
we actually did, I didn't know that was the one they were proposing, but we did that years ago. Do you remember it?
I know.
I don't know who, Ernie, you don't, we did this one years, but it's been a very long time ago, so I don't even know if there's some employees probably that would have seen it, but it was enjoyed, I think, by all. It's a kind of an interactive, identifying strengths and weaknesses within your own, your own personality, and then how you work with others in your office. So I love that program personally.
That's my only thought is departments wise, it might be a benefit to have your departments do it together versus it just be anyone, because you sometimes can really, I mean, I've
That's
done that
true.
as part of a group, when I was in a leadership group, we did through, and the extension did it with us, and it can be, that's why they do that. I mean,
Yeah.
even if you don't verbalize saying it, you
Yeah.
can really, give grace to employees or give support to other staff members, so my two requests are, once you get them scheduled, the sooner that we can know, the better, just for planning purposes, but then to think about it, doing it. Or the groups that work together, if they can do it together.
Break it into departments, yeah,
Mhm.
and that's hard, of course, in those
Right.
offices that work 24/7, but I totally agree, because to me, it was extremely valuable in terms of understanding those that you work the closest with,
but I look at, say, for example, second floor, our department heads work so closely
They do,
together, so
right.
that's why I would like to see them.
Yeah, and maybe you divide, it's not departments, maybe it's groups, like it's like who works together and figure that.
sure, maybe the whole second floor in one session or whatever, yeah.
Right,
It would be good to just visit with them about that, but I agree, that would be, I think it would increase the value. And after the fact, you can still discuss, cause yeah,
the one thing they felt strongly about when I presented it to them was that the commissioners are involved, so.
I don't remember if the commission was last time.
I think we were.
Remember it.
I think we were, now that
I
you mentioned
still-
about the
I still
dislikes
have
and likes.
Booklets from it down in my office, actually, because we all got little booklet things, but I think the program's evolved a lot since then, like the training material, but
Okay, well, more to come. Get some dates out to you when they get dates to us, Denny.
I remember, I don't know, years ago, we talked about having another commissioner besides the department head at this department, besides the chairman at the department head meetings.
We have them on the portfolio now. It was actually on my portfolio last year, so I was at the department head
Yeah.
meetings. And then Karen would come as chairman.
Now, you as chairman, do you want to appoint somebody else to attend the?
Yeah, I think somebody else should get on there as portfolio holder, so I guess that's just good for everybody to start thinking about your portfolios, take a look at them. We're going to discuss portfolios first meeting in January, correct? So if there's some changes you would like to see, or Paul, you're brand new to this. But start thinking about it, because we are going to look at it the next meeting, be already the next meeting.
Do you have a list?
I do not, I was just gonna ask if there's a list.
I can get one, yes.
It's a whole page, so you can put through it. See what lights are next week.
Okay, I believe that is it on the list, right?
That's right where I put it last time.
Any other business?
My only other, I asked Christy Danny about this, but just to have Tommy update for our January meeting, or that we put that on the agenda, to keep moving with that.
Okay,
That would be my only request.
Sandy and Ernie, you're on that committee, correct?
We were just gonna wait until after the holidays to have a meeting, thinking about having it probably in the Legion in October. We'll have to get it out in the paper, I suppose.
Army Corps of Engineers is interested, coming up, if you want to meet with them prior to,
What's that?
the Corps of Engineers, so they'd come up and meet with us prior to.
Prior to the meeting,
We just want to have a meeting with three of us or.
Fine.
yeah, I had mentioned this to Daisy, I think, but I work with one or two other counties that also operate a county park. I wasn't involved with this discussion, how it evolved, but if there's anything you want me to try to seek information as to how our others doing it, and I think I have some contacts if you want me to gather information. I can, I don't know if that's applicable or not to the conversation, because I don't know the full extent of how we got to this point, but
Mhm,
I can do that if you want.
great. So you guys will work with Tanya if you'd like some information then?
Sure.
Okay, wonderful.
I'll get
Thank you,
together,
Rob.
figure out a date, get the ball.
Yeah.
rolling.
I know.
Okay, sounds good. If there's no further business, meeting is adjourned.